Meeting to order, please. Thank you for joining us. We haven't had this much company in a long time. This is a special meeting of the Oconee County Council to discuss the changes in our building codes department. We've had 6 people sign up to speak. I will allow a few extra as time will permit. So I'd like Mr. Mulder to say a few words before we get started.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for everybody coming in this afternoon and spend a little time with us concerning our building codes department. Obviously, there has been some significant changes with regard to the operation in those departments over the last couple of weeks. Your attention here, or your presence here, allows us to recognize how important that operation is to you and your business and your ability to operate in our county. So thank you for being here. This format is a special meeting. It's been intended to be kind of similar to a town hall meeting, if you will. It's an opportunity for the county as well as county council to kind of hear from you and allow us an opportunity to be able to answer questions that you may have about the current state and future of the building codes department. There are a lot of you here. We appreciate that. But obviously, we won't be able to give everybody here 30 minutes to speak, or none of us would get home tonight. We do want to make sure that the information that we share and that you want us to hear as well is done, and we hear from as many people as possible. So if you do speak and there's continued speaking, we just ask that you try and make your comments to the point and brief. That way we can hear from everybody if necessary. We want this to be similar to a Q&A as well. So, if we do have formal speaking that takes place, we also want to make sure we have time that we open it up for the floor for a Q&A session as well. You may not have a speech, but you may have a question. So we want to make sure that we open that up as well. What we'll probably do at that point is have you, raise your hand. We'll recognize you, and unfortunately, you do have to come to the front to speak into the microphone for 2 reasons. Number one, so that everybody can hear. But number 2, we do have to record this for an official record for FOIA requirements. So if you don't mind, when we call on you, if you have a question, just please come up and ask your question, and we'll do the best we can to answer it. Please understand that any decision that has been made at this point in time is not final. There's an opportunity for council to consider the future of that department later this evening in its final form for the future. So nothing at this point has been final. So again, we appreciate you being here, and this is a good opportunity for us to all work for the betterment of the county and its operations that will benefit not only us, but more importantly, you as well. So, Ms. Kamick, that's kind of the format that we have this evening. So if you would want to allow them to come up and present the comments that they have, or however you want to handle it from now.
Okay. So on that note, we'll have Mr. Harold Knight as our first speaker. When you come to the microphone, please state your name and the business that you work for the record. Harold Knight.
I'm Harold Knight. I've owned Harold Knight Builders since 1972. My son now is taking over the business, so it's kind of a family-oriented thing. My concern is these things. Number one is the county council should adopt a code book. So we're not operating out of 2012, 2015. We don't know which one we're going out of. Adopt one and say that's going to be that for 3 to 5 years. Let that be done. That's what so much confusion is about out here now. I built a house. 3 months later, I built another one, and guess what? Come in and half the electrical was changed. And because I operated out of this book, thinking that that's the one they was going, because that's what I did the last time, and then they go out to 2012. Or 2015, I'm sorry. But those things are what's causing all of these problems. I have no problems at all with codes. In fact, I saw Ben Collins out here, and he knows that I taught codes, and he came through as one of the original ones in 2000 as a code up here. And I have no problem with code, but I do have problems of jumping around from one to the other and you never know what you're supposed to do. And that's my biggest issue, is that. If you, I asked this question in a hearing up here that I had, appeals board. I asked this question to the county council. Can you tell me the last code book you adopted? And nobody could. And that should be your job. You should adopt that code book for that code official to operate off of. And we should know that. And that shouldn't be every year. That should be 3 years apart or 5 years apart. Most of the time it's been 3 to 6 years apart in adopting that. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Knight.
Ms. Cammy, just for the benefit of everybody here, just for information, to respond to Mr. Knight. That is, the inconsistency in the application of the code is some of the concerns that we have heard, not only from you here today, but from others over the last few weeks, really few months. The manner in which we adopt the code books, our ordinance has been established to basically immediately adopt whatever the state adopts as the international building codes with regard to the code council for the state of South Carolina. So we don't have a procedure at this point for council to adopt specific code references or code versions, if you will. It's automatic to whatever the state has adopted as the current building codes through the international building codes, the IBC. It's whatever the state does, and that's where our ordinance is written now, to automatically adopt whatever they adopt. And that's how it's done.
Is it Frank Massey? Is that correct?
Yes, my name is Frank Massett. I've been a builder in this county for about 45 years, and I was building way before they even started the code. And I agree with Harold a lot on that, changing the codes and not informing anybody the codes has been changed on electrical, framing, whatever. But as far as I see, you done fixed your problem when you got rid of David Stokes. I mean, you had Shannon Chambers in here, and he's fired in Anderson County for being an idiot that's not wanting to work with the builders or anybody else. It's his way or no way. Well, David Stokes, the same thing, run off Seneca for the same thing.
Ms. Cammy,
I mean,
for purposes of this meeting, if we could try to not make direct accusations about specific people.
well, that's all the accusations I'm gonna make
Okay,
on them too,
perfect.
but that's
Thank
my
you.
thoughts.
Okay,
And I'm gonna say what was on my mind.
let's
But
attack
listen,
the
you-
problem, not the person. Thank you. Go ahead.
You got a good man in here that can run this building codes. Scott Carroll, I think, capable of running this place, and you got 2 good inspectors. Can't find no better inspectors than the ones you got now. And them girls in the office up there, they help us. They don't mind helping us. I don't have no problem with them. And I think that it needs to stay in-house and let the boys that we got up there now run this place. But that's all I got to say about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brad Kisker.
My name is Brad Kisker, owner of Kisker Construction. Been in business in Oconee County now for about 21 years. Wasn't really prepared to speak. I didn't know it was going to be this kind of forum. I thought it was going to be more of a town hall. But we realize there's changes being made, and I'm glad you all have taken the time to try and get this together and appreciate the opportunity to, exchange ideas and stuff. So like I said, wasn't prepared to speak. I serve on the Home Builders Board. I'm also on Planning Commission, representing District 1 along with Ms. Kamick. So I'm speaking for myself, though, not as a member of Planning Commission, not as a member of the HBA. What we need out of codes is consistency and communication, and that's been lacking. Consistency between inspectors, consistency in permitting. It's extremely difficult to permit a house in Oconee County. And I had a discussion with Mr. Mulder. He took an hour out of his day to speak with me on the phone. I can go down to Pickens County and get a building permit in 15 minutes. It takes me 2 to 3 weeks up here to get building permit in form after form. And we've gone to an automated system, technology, totally understand that, don't disagree with it, but that should make things go faster, not slower. And we've gotten way bogged down in the permitting process. So I think that the problems with the building department go a little bit deeper than just who's heading the building department. It goes with the procedures that have been put in place. It's just taking too long to permit a job. What do we call it? I'll come back to that one. I wasn't prepared, as I told you. But we realize we've gone to third-party inspections. We're heading that direction. We're not getting phone calls like we got from our building inspectors in-house where we would meet the inspector there. We're not getting those phone calls. I had an inspection today. Nobody called me. And then even, I did not get the email that they said, once an inspector would visit a job, we would get an email saying, hey, I was there, even if they didn't call. So I had no idea if I passed the inspection today. I don't even know if the inspection happened. So that goes back to the consistency and communication. So if we can pull anything out of this today, we need consistency with our inspectors, communication. And again, I have a list of questions. I'm not going to go through them because I want other people to speak. The insulation code. Help me, Tom. Energy code. The energy code that was adopted in 2013, Oconee County enforces it like no other county. I've built in Clemson, I've built in Pickens County, and I've built in Oconee County. And by far, Oconee County requires more paperwork, more stuff for the file than Pickens and other areas. And I don't know if, I'm not going to mention it, but a local banker, and this is not all bad, but a local banker who deals with builders from Pickens and Greenville and Anderson, they don't want to come to Oconee County, which is good for us, but they say Oconee County is a pain to build in. And I guess as a member of Planning Commission, when I went on Planning Commission, my goal was to make Oconee County business friendly, business attractive. And we have these, again, communication and consistency problems that hopefully this body will address and resolve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Ms. Kathy, I'd like to ask him one thing.
Should we wait till the end, or can we ask questions?
Yeah, I guess go and ask him now.
Okay, sorry, Brad, come on back up. Mr. McCall wants to ask you a question.
Why is Pickens County so much better?
I'm not saying Pickens County is better.
I know. Why-
I'm just
why
saying
is it- why is
it's
it
faster.
Why is it faster? I guess that's what I'm asking.
I walk in with a set of plans. I walk in with my septic permit. I fill out a form. I give them a check, and I have my building permit.
Well, we should be the same as that. We shouldn't be holding you up.
We're not. We've got to, we have driveway permits in subdivisions that are platted that we have to, pay $65 for, wait 2 weeks for somebody to go out for a cul-de-sac lot that's 25 feet wide to say, here's a driveway within those 25 feet. And then we've got to get our septic, which is Pickens County, zoning permit, and then we apply online, then there's plan review, and it's a 2 to 3 week process. For builders that are used to it, it's getting a little bit smoother, but the average person coming in, getting a building permit, I don't know how they would do it. It's taken me a while to get used to the technology of uploading and downloading documents and resubmitting and submitting. And quite honestly, too, when you call into Pickens County, they pick up the phone every time. When I call up here, I get a busy signal all the time. And if I say, and we can schedule online, I leave the house very early in the morning. I might forget to schedule an inspection. And then if I call up here and say I need an inspection, I get well, you can do that online. Yes, I know I can do that online. But I'm not doing it online. I'm doing it through you. And there's not that sense of customer service that Scott demands out of all the departments in the county. I see it in other departments, but I really don't see it and building codes.
Well, I personally want to apologize to you for all the trouble that the county has caused you. And we need, as a council, we need to clean this mess up like Jumping Jack Flash.
Well, and I appreciate that.
One of the problems with this, a long time getting your permit.
Mr. Massey, if you could come to the microphone, please, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I agree with him on this permitting deal. When you go up here and apply for a septic tank permit, it takes 4 to 6 weeks to get a septic tank permit. Pickens County, I went over and built a house over there last year, took 4 days. I had my permit, my septic tank permit in 4 days. So that septic tank permit and stuff is a big holdup on that. And the driveway permits and stuff like that is a big holdup of getting your permits. I mean, you gotta have a driveway permit before you can get a septic tank permit, and you gotta have a septic tank permit before you get a building permit. And that'll drag on 8, 9, 10 weeks sometime.
Well,
So that,
I personally want to apologize to you. This is a,
but
only council does set
you
policy,
can't get a
we can
power,
set
you can't get a
policy.
power, you can't get a water, you can't do anything till you get your septic tank permit, and that, I know they overloaded or something, because it take 4 to 6, 8, 10 weeks to get a permit for a septic tank.
And Ms. McCall, this is exactly why we're having this meeting today, so we can hear a number of these comments.
You
Now, in defense of the county, excuse me, everybody, in defense of the county, we don't handle septic tank permits, and everybody knows that. So, any long period of time they're waiting from a septic permit standpoint, obviously, we don't control those. Now, driveway encroachment permits, of course, we are responsible for those, and we can address that, so.
As fast as Pickens.
Well, Pickens got me a septic tank permit in 4 days on that house I built, 4 days.
Like I said, that's a DHEC issue and not a county permit issue on the septic tank. So any delays you had there, all we can do is apologize on behalf of DHEC, okay?
I just want to finish up. I mean, it might be coming out a little stronger than I really mean it. Yes, it's more difficult than Pickens County. If you know the procedures, it can go smoothly, but it's still a lengthy process. And it just, one thing started, and another thing started, and it kept getting added on. And Pickens County has stormwater management. We don't have stormwater management, so there's even an extra permit that you pick up while you're filling out your building permit. And I'm not saying Pickens County is doing everything right, because we're both operating under the same IRC code, but there's different interpretations. And that is just something you learn as a builder between the two counties. But it's definitely easier to go down to Pickens County, faster. I'm not sure of the right word, but it's definitely quicker to walk into Pickens County and get a building permit than a Coney County.
Yeah, but what y'all don't realize is y'all are the bosses. We work for you.
Uh-huh.
And that's the problem.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brad. Mr. Markovich.
I am Tom Markovich. I am the owner of Markovich Homes. I am also the president of the Home Builders Association here in Oconee County. Now, I am not speaking on behalf of the home builders tonight. But I will say this, we have had a number of discussions at several board meetings about this particular topic. And we try to stay abreast of what's going on. The idea of having third-party inspection, I think, is an interesting one. I've talked to Mr. Mulder about it. It's not something personally that I have an issue with. However, we would want to see the same things. We want to see that consistency. We want to see that communication. But I would also hope that if we're opening up this idea of using third-party inspection, the code allows that the building administrator can allow for third-party inspections. I hope that we're not considering only using inspectors that only are contracted with the county. In other words, if I have another inspector who's third-party, I hope that you will consider that might be usable also, rather than only using those that are provided by the county. And then along with that, and I don't know if there's any truth to it or not, but I have seen some information out there that in the particular case of the third-party inspectors, that the county will retain 25% of the building codes fee and that the third-party inspection company will get 75%. And if we were to use a different sort of mechanism, if we used our own third party, would we be able to just pay the 25% fee versus paying a 100% fee. And then we would take care of paying the third party. I mean, these are just different thoughts that I've had. But, just trying to sort out how this might work in certain situations. It's not that unusual. There are more and more jurisdictions in this whole upstate that are going to third-party inspections. As most of you know, in Clemson, all the commercial work's done by third party. And there's other areas just because there's just not enough inspectors out there. And so more and more jurisdictions are having to go to third party. I think it's something to think through, but I think it's something that we want to have a very good plan assembled before we just, jump off the deep end. And so, anyway, we appreciate you letting us have comment on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brad LaCroix?
Thank y'all for letting us come in today. I think I would, you could probably, we're all in agreement from the builder standpoint that the Building Codes Department needed some tweaking. We had some issues. We had some issues with the consistency and some of these other things that have been discussed already. But this is literally throwing the baby out with the bathwater, the steps that y'all have taken. It needed some tweaks. It did not need to get rid of the Building Codes Department. You've got some really highly qualified people in the department still. Scott Carroll, Jake, Stephen, all the ladies up in the office. I think you've got a solid department. And I think you're making a serious mistake getting rid of the Building Codes Department. I think from a county standpoint, I think you're throwing away revenue. I don't know what the revenue for the Building Codes Department is, but I would say that it's pretty substantial. I would say it's got to be pushing $750,000 a year in permit fees. And you can't tell me that you wouldn't make using your own people, you would come out to the good financially from the county standpoint and from this from your budget by keeping your own codes department. So just from a financial thing, I think it makes sense to keep your own department. Secondly, I have an objection to taking these monies that we're paying in permit fees and sending them to a company that is not even in our county. We're taking money here and sending it to Spartanburg County. I think that's a mistake. I think you need to keep your money in the county, and I think you need to use your own people. I have concern that we're going to see permit costs go up. I don't see how they're not going to go up. Our permit fees here are already higher than the other counties surrounding us, but I can see that our permit fees are going to go up substantially, I would think. It may not be immediately, but once your department's gone, then you got a captive audience. And I see that going downhill real quickly. We've already seen they've already increased the wait time on an inspection. It has historically been a 24-hour. You call today or schedule inspection today, you get an inspection tomorrow. They're saying on the website to expect a 48-hour wait. That's a burden, especially on certain inspections that we have. If you've got to wait 2 days, you go from a framing and roughing inspection, then we have an insulation inspection. We typically would do that in the next day. But if we're having to push that out for 2 days, that really slows that job down. We're losing a day there. Same way with your basement slabs. If you've got 2 days between your plumbing rough in and then your slab inspection, that's really slowing things down for us as builders and is a burden. Consistency has been brought up before. I think with a good leader within the Building Codes Department, and again, my recommendation is Scott Carroll as your chief official. You've got a very highly qualified man there in your department already with the education, with the background, with the certification that can step into this position and do a very good job. But I worry about the quality of the inspections. I look at Anderson County, look at some of the other counties around, and they do an inspection with a sweeping glance. And we don't need I'm proud of our county. We're a high custom market here. And I think the builders here are a step above, and I'm gonna pat ourselves on the back as builders, but I think Oconee County builders are a step above the counties surrounding us. You see builders come from other counties to come over here and they say, oh crap, what have I got into? Because our level of quality here is something to be proud of, I think. And I think we could lose that by losing the quality of the inspections using a third party. Another concern that I have is if we have an issue, if we have an appeal, who do we appeal to? We've got a third party out here that we don't have any recourse. Who do we come to? Do we come knocking on your door if we have an appeal? We've lost local control. If I've got an issue now, I can go up to the codes office and I can talk to the chief official, or I can talk to the inspector, and we have a relationship with those inspectors. So then the closer control you have with something, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's federal versus state or state versus local or whatever, you always have better control and when it's something, when you've got local people. And I have a big concern of us losing control and not having anybody to talk to. And you've got good people here. We can walk in the county office right down the hall and we can see someone. And I think that's a great concern. Again, I just want to go back to the fact that we've got local people here. They live here. They reside here. They grow their children here. They send their kids here to school. They spend their money here. They're invested in the community. And for you to do away those positions, I think is a mistake. And I think it's going to go bad. You've got, again, it is my recommendation that we keep our building codes department. I think this is a horrible knee-jerk reaction to some minor tweaks that need to be made. I think we need to maintain our current building codes office. I think you need to have Scott Carroll as the building official. I think you keep Jake and Stephen and the ladies in the office. And if we have an overflow, I think it could be a good mix. Keep those guys, if you want to keep the overhead down, use an independent company for their overflow. I'm sure the codes office have busy days and then they have slack days. On those busy days when they got more than they can do, bring in an independent company to take care of the overflow. But throwing away and closing the department is a huge mistake. And that is my opinion and the opinion I think of many other builders. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Ms. Campbell, he did have one question in there, if you want me to address that at this
Appeals?
point on the appeals.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. LaCroix, for your comments and well taken. Thank you. With regard to your appeal, the way is proposed to work is if you have a particular question or concern or disagreement, if you will, over the application of the code in the field, the building official would be the representative from the independent contractor. So somebody had referenced Mr. Ben Collins earlier. I'll go ahead and use his name. Mr. Ben Collins would officially be our building official. So any disagreements or questions you may have about the application of a particular code would go to Mr. Collins at that point in time. If there was a disagreement there, the same procedures would apply as they do now. We would still maintain our Building Code Appeals Board, who would be responsible for hearing any disgruntled appeal with regard to how a decision was made. Obviously, the building official would be required to come in and present their case. You would be provided an opportunity to present your case, and then the Building Code Appeals Board would make the quasi-judicial decision with regard to whether or not that should be approved or not. Obviously, after that, any other appeal opportunities past the Building Code Appeals Board would still apply to you and be afforded, that right would be afforded to you. So with regard to any appeals, the process would still remain the same, other than appealing directly to the county's employed building official. The independent contractor building official would hear that initial concern and comment, and the procedure would stay the same from there. So I just wanted to address that question, Ms. Cammey.
Mr. David Gully?
Hi there, my name is David Gully, owner of Central Contracting Corporation, Central Signature Homes. We've been a builder in the area between myself and my father-in-law since 1971. past state president, two-time past local president of the Home Builder Association. Sticking on the appeals, just while it's fresh in my mind, Mr. Muller. First of all, thank you for having this. I think we all, as you can see by the attendance, are very appreciative of you reaching out to us. On the line of the appeals, my concern, I probably fall in line with Mr. LaCroix and Mr. Kisker in the sense that I have some concerns about third party in the county. As it relates to the appeals, and I think the world of Mr. Collins and a lot of the other ones around here, I've had good luck with all of them. My only concern is with it being a third party, by definition, you don't have any control over who that official is. They can pull him from this county and send him to somewhere else as the need arises. So I worry about the consistency that would come. Surely as he's here, his vision would carry on. But if he's pulled by his bosses and told he has to be in Charlotte for some specialty that needs to be done up there, there's no way for us to control who that official is that they're going to put in, just by definition, a third party. They're not an employee to the county as an individual. So I do have some concerns about third parties, as you've heard, and I won't rehash all the stuff that we've already listed, but it is a concern about not getting phone calls. In some surrounding counties, they'll actually schedule appointments. I know that can be difficult in larger counties based on travel time, et cetera. But it can't be that hard just to make a phone call to say, hey, we're on your way. Not only does it save us time as builders, but it also, I think, saves the county money and reinspection fees and stuff over an interpretation that we can explain why this is done this way. If a fire caulk penetration is missed, we can fix it while we're there and be done with it instead of having to make a whole new reinspection and make a separate inspection the next day or reschedule for 48 hours later. And I think some of that's missing with a third party is a sense of reaching out. I've had a few inspections since and no phone call. Since we don't have job cards on the job anymore because we've gone all electronic, there's no way for any of us, any of the field people, to find out whether we passed or failed unless you happen to be there when you showed up. Before we got emails, it wasn't a big deal because we got emails as soon as the inspection was over. Now you're having to wait till the end of the day until I guess they get back. I don't know if the third party doesn't have iPads or they don't have access to emails, et cetera. But you're not getting an email. You're having to wait till the end of the day. Well, that kind of already affects how you're going to schedule the next day. Can you hang sheetrock? Can you not hang sheetrock? If you lose them, as busy as things are, it could be 3, 4, 5 days by the time you get that crew back. So it becomes a logistical issue, and I just have concerns of us losing control over just the inspection process. I do have some concerns as it relates to, as if it's a third party, it's a for-profit center for them. If we do away with the building official, i.e. Scott Carroll in this case, and go strictly to a third party, who's to say that the agreements don't change, the reinspection, well, we're not making enough money because we're having to go back too many places, we think we need to make more money. Once you've gone down that path and eliminated your department, then you're kind of at their mercy as far as how they want to renegotiate it. You don't have a whole lot of options unless you're going to create a new department from scratch at that point. So I do have some grave concerns about that. I guess that's most of it, but the biggest thing is relationships. A lot of the codes, as you've well heard, is based on interpretation. There are some appeals process you can go through down at the state and the national to go through some of that, but it's a lengthy process, and quite honestly, a lot of times it comes down to the local officials' interpretation of it. So as I say that, one of the things that I have appreciated from all the officials that we've had is the ability to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. I can't see how that would stay the same if we go to all third party. I was always able to get in touch with Mr. Stokes or whoever, Shannon before that, and if I had a concern, and them call me back and say, hey, this is what we're reading it from, and we can have some lengthy discussion. I'm just afraid that any chance of that would kind of be out the window. So, and that's all I have. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to listen to us.
Thank you. Those were the 6 that have signed up. Would anyone else like to approach? One at a time.
How are y'all doing today?
You're good.
My name is Flay Dalrymple. I own Dalco Custom Homes, Dalco Builders. First of all, I'd like to thank Lynn Hart, Wayne McCall, and Ms. Cammie. I had a problem a few weeks ago. I've been building in this county for 20 years. And this is the first time I've ever been able to get any resolution, period. And so Wayne asked the question a minute ago, what's the problem? Well, the problem is systemic. It's not really to do with building codes. It's to do all the way through the culture of Oconee County with the old council as it existed. As a developer, not only a builder, when I first came over here 20 years ago, it was roll the red carpet out. What can I do to help you, Mr. Dalrymple? How are you doing today, Mr. Dalrymple? What can I do for you, Mr. Dalrymple? And y'all would do whatever it took to help me. Somewhere down the line, we went to this Gestapo mentality where we're not going to help you. We're going to do everything we can to trip you up. And somehow the culture got confused on who the customer is. We are the customer. This is a group of grown men out here. We are not going to be treated like children, period. Wayne and Glenn know exactly my situation, and I don't think we should regress and go back and say, oh, it's great, we did away with this guy or we did away with that guy. But one thing Brad said, talk about the length of time. I've had, when I came up here to get a permit, I've had it to go 2 months before I could get a building permit, from the time of septic permit to building permit. So convert that into a monetary loss. So now when I go to do a job, I've got to build in 2 months of lead time with my homeowner. Now who's paying for that? The homeowner's paying for that. You guys know that. It's ridiculous. You go over to Pickens County today. I told Glenn this quite recently. You go over to Pickens County. Hey, Mr. Dalrymple, what can we do to help you over here today? If I got a question about something, I pick the phone up. Yes, yeah, I'll be glad to meet you out there on a courtesy inspection, Mr. Dalrymple. Oh, no, not over here. And back to, can I get in touch with David Stokes? I don't know. I've said point blank that I feel like that Scott Carroll would be a good one to lead the Building Codes Department. I think he's got the right mentality. But what I don't want to see us do is regress back to this. Somehow the culture's got to change. We got to get back to say, hey, we can help these people. These people are our neighbors. These people go to church with us. These people are, people that, we know these are our friends. Why should we get treated the way we're getting treated over here? I built in Oconee, Anderson, Greenville, Stevens County, Habersham, Raven County, Anderson County. Of all the counties I built in, this is the only county I come to and get treated like this. Period. End of subject. That ain't right. So, I don't know about third-party inspections. I don't know about keeping the building code department. But what I do know about is that the problem is systemic. The problem is systemic because the culture is not right. And the culture should be, let's take the people that we work with, that we go to church with, that we know, our neighbors, our friends, people that are wanting to move into this county, and let's figure out how we can help them instead of trying to figure out how we can hurt them. I could go on and on and on and on and on for the next 30 minutes. We're talking a 20-year history here. This is not a builder that's getting up here that's been here for 5 years that I don't have history. I've watched it. It has progressed. It has gotten worse every year until Glenn Hart, Wayne McCall, and Miss Cammy decided to do something about it. So I want to applaud y'all for doing something about it.
I'm Tim Murphy with Trail Construction, Trail Corporation. We're a commercial builder, and we do quite a bit of work in Oconee County. The past 4 to 5 years, I've had a project over by Clemson. It's a student housing project, and we have built multiple phases. Everybody thinks it's in Clemson, but it's Oconee County. One is High Point, which are condominiums, apartments, and the other is the Pier, which are cottages and most recently tiny homes. Everybody's gotten all excited about those things. So I wanted to comment that in these last 4 to 5 years, I've had consistent help from the department as it was currently in place. Not everything timing-wise suited my schedule, but I didn't experience the problem that Dalco just expressed about 2 months to get a permit. It would be 3 or 4 weeks, which on the plan review side, there's a lot to look over. The current phase, I'm building 85 buildings. That's 85 building permits I had to get. And to show you how the department was a help to me, I don't have time to sit there online and fill out 85 applications for permits. I really don't. I don't know how I was going to do it. The department helped me fill out those permits. We had 4 different styles of buildings, so it was quite repetitive. There would be many of one style, many of another, and so forth. And they were very helpful to me. If you do away with the department and go all third party, I've lost any opportunity to get any assistance as a customer in that respect. Just to tag on what a couple of the other guys have said, I don't feel it's in the best interest of me as a builder and the county in the long run to abandon the department. It doesn't shake out for me. I need somebody I can call. I've met 1 or 2 of the third-party guys, seem like great guys. I've known Ben from previous experience. That's all well and good. Use them as you need to use them. Farm out field inspections to them. But if I have a question or a problem with a field inspection, if the third-party guy is also the code official, the registered code official, and he did the inspection, I've got nobody else to talk to. It's all the same person. So there is no going to the code official if he was the one that did the inspection. And the board process, boy, we really don't want to do that. It's just, I mean, the timing on these projects can't take that type of complication. So my recommendation, we need a department. How you staff it and outfit it should be in the best interest of us, the customer base. I need a department to serve me. I can't do it all by myself. And third-party guys are going to get busy, get called here and get called there. And I've got nobody else to talk to if there's not a department here. I will echo that Scott Carroll is very approachable. I think he'd do a fine job being in the saddle. And the staff that's in there now, Cynthia and Casey and our 2 field guys, to me, they're invaluable to keep. I just don't see how you can do away with them. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank y'all. Also, I'm one of the ones that hadn't been here 50 years. I've been in the building business for 55 years. I'm Buddy Smith with the Builder Smith. I don't do much building now. I tried to retire and couldn't do it. But I want to approach this from a different angle. I agree with most everyone. I've built in a lot of states and done a lot of different things, and y'all probably have as good a building department, knowledgeable-wise, and to work with me as an outsider to help me get started. Building permits and all what we talked about is true. And I won't get into that. What I'd like to bring up is I've dealt with this before, and I think y'all are making a drastic error as a county commissioner to take the county business and put it out somewhere else. I wonder if you thought, a lot of these gentlemen here have spoke, lost a week, lost 2 days, takes a month. Do you know what that would take in our times if we had taken 6 months to build a house? That means we maybe could build another house that year, which gives y'all revenue. What y'all are getting ready to do, forgetting about the inspection department itself, is going to cost you more money and give y'all a whole lot more headaches, because they coming to y'all when these people, they're working for profit. They're not going to be able to stand around. They got so many inspections to do a day. They don't do it, they don't make money. Sometimes the young men that come to me, they're very knowledgeable, probably as knowledgeable as anybody I've worked with in 50 years. But they take the time to tell me what I've done wrong. That's important. If they've got to make 20 inspections today, they can't do that. Moral to the story is, what I want to bring back to is the cost that it's going to cost us as builders. We might make another $5,000, $10,000 by building another house. Sometimes we're not fortunate enough to even make some sometimes, but we did turn the revenue over to y'all. You know, I must have made a true statement there. But it goes way farther than the inspection department. You need to have your own hometown people. I read in the paper, boy, we just got industry in here, we give them a tax break and all that, they bring in 170 people. We're getting ready to fire our local folks and bring in an outside person, like we spoke about, and sending the money somewhere else. We need to, you've got talented people here, let's do that, keep it here, and let all of us make more money by organizing it and getting us all on the same page. I think you need to look at it even a step further through the revenue of the county and what it costs us builders. Like David said, if we miss 2 days, in today's environment, there are no young people going into this business. We have hard times getting help. If we missed 2 days and had the sheetrock guy lined up, now we got to stop. He had to go to another job. We might miss a whole week before we could get that person back, just because we had 1 day wait, because we lost that schedule. It's a lot more to it than just the inspection. It's what you lose in time and money spent, and gives us the opportunity, if we can get on a good schedule and all on the same page, to be able to build more houses and bring more income and money to the county. And as I guess I'm an outsider. I love it here. Been here 10 years building. Lived in Cassius for about 35 and built up there. Y'all got a great place here. Don't mess it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
I wasn't planning on speaking today either, but I figured you probably needed to hear from somebody who hadn't been building for 55 years in Oconee County. I built 3 homes here now. I build in Anderson. I come from Charleston, South Carolina is where I originated, and grew up building custom homes there from, about 14 on the job sites. I'm in agreement that, whether you keep in-house, which is a big benefit, and I can tell you right now, that's where Anderson and Pickens do business in Clemson. I'm the new face, and when they came in, I can tell you they've bent over backwards for me, everyone. And I did business here, the planning, everything was wonderful. We got to the building of the first home here, and I was one of those guys that said, what have I gotten into? But it wasn't because I wasn't code worthy. I'd passed all of them. What it was I had one inspector come out and tell me, we've got some problems over here. We fix those. 2 days later, wait for another inspector. Different inspector comes out and says something totally different. Had nothing to do with what we had already done. And so there was a gray area. I will admit, I got some, I didn't really get any help there. Still had to tear a back wall out, but they, there was a gray area in the code. And the only reason, I'm a small operator, I've got my bags on at least 3 days a week with all my help. And, it costs me money when I have to do that, because I have to go to another job. And we have, we keep 2-3 jobs running at a time. We do remodeling and custom homes. And so whatever you do, keep consistency and make sure that if you do outsource it, hold them accountable. Have somebody in-house here that is dealing with, like you say, the customer service. Because I will tell you right now that Anderson, Pickens, I've done business in both, and they really have gone over and above to help you out as any builder. And not one here, the sense I got was, if you build a relationship with me, as one of the inspectors, you're showing favoritism or something, I've just never experienced that before. I've always experienced inspectors who want long-term relationships like we want to build them, not for favoritism, but just so we can have consistency. So I would just be in agreement with what you've heard today. Keep it consistent, and in-house is key when you have somebody you can talk to. Thank you.
Your name, sir?
I'm Chad Cromer, owner of Cromer Design and Construction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any comments?
Will there be opportunity to discuss after we hear from you guys?
That's fine. Any comments from us guys?
I'd like to say something. I appreciate all y'all coming out here this afternoon, and know you got a lot more important things to do, a lot better ways to make money than sitting up here at Pine Street. But believe it or not, we do listen, and I've received phone calls from 2 people on this issue. We don't know how to help y'all unless you let us know. And my office number is 864-784-2270. It's all over the internet. Again, 864-784-2270. If you have a concern in county government, contact us. It's often a lot more efficient. We can head off bad decisions that pass before we get to a point. And believe it or not, I raised a lot of the issues y'all talked about when we discussed this in a meeting. I think that it was my opinion at the time, the majority of council was looking in another direction. Your appearance here today may change that, outsourcing these, but I did not think that was a good idea to outsource it. But the comments that you brought up here today, I think very well will, I hope they do, change, and we do not outsource our building codes division. I think we need to repair it, not do away with it. I think it is throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Can I ask a question? What is the status of the code's office?
We'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay.
I appreciate y'all being here. One of the things that I kind of brought up with Mr. Mulder is how can we have the ability to listen to what y'all are saying besides y'all, calling us every 5 minutes, whatever. And I am very, very appreciative of him setting this up and, to hear y'all. And I, really appreciate y'all taking time out to be here. The 4 o'clock time frame doesn't work better for everybody, but this is important to y'all to be here. It's important for us to hear y'all. We see you out there. A lot of us live in houses that y'all have built or somebody that y'all know have built. A lot of y'all do work for us in this county, and really appreciate y'all being up here to talk about these things and address them, because problems don't get solved until we know what they are, and we try to address those. And, again, I just want to thank y'all for being here today to talk about these, and how y'all are handling this is perfect. This is a tough job sitting up here. This is a tough job sitting down there in that seat. Until we know what the issues are, we try to make these recommendations, and to the best of our ability to know that. I don't build houses for a living, so I rely on y'all to tell me, hey, this is what I think, this is what I feel, these are the positives and the negatives. Everything has positives and negatives on whatever choice. We just want to make the one that gives y'all the more positives than the negatives, and appreciate y'all being here today.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Go ahead, Glenn.
Glenn?
Unlike Mr. Kane here, I have received telephone calls. And the ones that I received has been the people that would like to keep the same department, the people we have now, and increase it by 2 more inspectors. So if that's your consensus, I'd like to know it now.
That'd be good.
Thank you.
After hearing y'all's concerns, main thing is the holdups and the timeliness of holding you up, waiting on an inspection. You don't know whether the inspection been here because the guy is apparently a ghost and comes and goes. I think we ought to have a rule. If we can't meet your schedule, you the bosses, well, you ought to be able to proceed on. We can't be holding you up. Say you call for an inspection, you say, okay, I can't, the inspector don't show up. All right. Then you have the fair right to say, okay, you can't, you're the boss, we can't meet your schedule, you're the boss, you go on. Go on, do what it is. Or does it come down to the point of I don't know anything about building, I'm a commercial diver, but do y'all come out, if it, maybe a third party, maybe not use third party, maybe use yourselves to govern yourselves. I don't know. Well, I don't know, so you don't want to do that. Then you want to go back to.
Are y'all you're doubting yourselves? No, I'm sorry. Wait a second.
No, but you will doubt us.
Hey, that's honesty, Harold, right there. I'll give you a star.
Well, we got to please you, and we're holding you up. We can't hold you up.
I'll hold it 24 hours. Yeah. If you can't get it in 24 hours, then let us go.
All right, then that's fair enough then. I agree with
That's
you.
fair, because that's normally what the code book calls for.
Okay.
24 hours.
So everybody was happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Kevin.
Mr. Mulder, would you answer the question about the current
Oh, absolutely.
staffing of the?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Kamick has asked that I address the status of the current operations and where we are currently in the building codes. Obviously, there was an immediate change made in the management and operation of that department. In an effort to try and cure some of the issues that we were hearing at that point in time, we actually reduced the size and kept around a couple of the people, as you're aware of, to help manage the department. Recognizing that 2 people would be very difficult to manage the number of inspections we have. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but we do on an average of close to 60 inspections a day. I mean, it's a significant amount of inspections, which is good. It's a great thing, but it's still a lot for 2 people to handle. So one of the things that we did was we went out and looked at opportunities to bring somebody in to help, to try and ease, at least in the interim, some time and bring some help in to ease those 2 guys and still provide the inspection services timely. I reached out to RCI based on some research that I did with some other counties and some of the other work that they've been doing across the state, and they came highly recommended. So I called Mr. Blackwell in, and he had a relationship with Mr. Collins, both of which came in and talked with me and said, yes, we can go ahead and work with you on an interim basis and try and ease some of the workload for you. And I was very grateful for them to do that, knowing that, Stephen and Jake are great guys, which is why they're still under our employ, and that we didn't want to run them ragged. So we brought them in, and in the meantime, as we discussed the future of the department and what we were going to do and how we were going to move forward, we looked at the idea of a permanent third-party inspection service as an idea. That idea was discussed with county council, and we went through and asked a lot of questions and decided that, hey, let's take a look at that on a serious basis. And that's kind of why we're here today, because we did start looking at it on a serious basis. And there were a couple phone calls made. I actually called around, and I won't say who, but I actually called around to a few representative builders. I know they don't represent everybody's opinion, but I did call around to some people, some builders that I know and that I can trust to give me some guidance. And so I did my research, talked with those particular builders, and they said, hey, it's worth at least looking at. So that's what we did. And then as we got closer to it, rightfully so, I think council requested this town hall meeting, and we set it up, and I think it was the right thing to do to hear comment before a final decision was made with regard to how the building code was going forward. So to answer your question, right now, it's business as usual with 2 inspectors and third party to help ease some of the overburden and workload on those 2 guys. Going forward, obviously with your attendance and your comments, they've got a big decision to make for the future of the management of that department and which direction they want to go. That's, sometimes the good part about my job is I don't have to be the one to make that decision. I just have to be the one to implement it and help advise them. So it's a tough spot for them to be in. Hearing from some of the comments, I think I kind of understand where we're headed. But that's where we are temporary for right now, just trying to hold the ship afloat until we can figure out what we're going to do long term. I got two questions. Let me get to you first.
David, guys,
Ms. Kelly.
quick question, who's the current building official?
Scott Carroll had applied for his interim building official status immediately after Mr. Stokes' separation with the county. Once we brought in Mr. Blackwell, Mr. Collins to help on a temporary basis, we updated our records to show that they were the building officials, and that happened in about 20 minutes. So it's easily changed. All I have to do is send a letter designating that particular individual, and their credentials are then verified to make sure. Mr. Carroll obviously did not have all the full certifications that he would be required to have, which is why he was applying for interim status. As soon as Mr. Stokes' separation, I immediately told him to begin processing whatever he needs to process to obtain those official certifications so he could officially be designated as building official no matter what happens. But at this point in time, officially, Mr. Ben Collins and Brian Blackwell are considered our building officials in the absence of one.
But on the payroll is the two officials plus Mr. Scott, is that correct?
When you say on payroll,
We got two
Who-
inspectors in the field.
who do we have on staff right now? Yes, we've got two permit clerks. You've heard their names earlier, Cynthia and Casey. And we've got two building inspectors, Stephen and Jake. And then you've got Mr. Scott Carroll, who has been handed the interim responsibility of managing the department. Yes, sir, back here.
I want to tell you I appreciate y'all having this meeting, but since the codes have been adopted in Oconee County, this is the first time that I know of that we've had any chance as a group to give feedback to the county. My question is, regardless of whether you hire a third party or you keep it in-house, what's the process for measuring success besides the phone calls that the county council members are getting? Because by Mr. McCall saying that y'all work for us, we shouldn't have to come to you.
Right.
There should be some type of system in place where we can give some type of feedback with the building codes department.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I actually had jotted down one of the ideas I was looking at as we go forward with this, regardless of the decision that's made with the future of the department, is I'd like to ask of this group that's here now, 5 of you to volunteer to come work with me. It may take a week, it may take a month, I don't know. It just depends on what kind of progress we make. I'd like to have 5 of you volunteer to work with me to look at the system and the processes by which you go through in order to take the construction from start to finish, and let's work on some of those processes and see if we can't fix them for you, so I can get some of your input and guidance. So that was one of the things that we can actually keep in place is, if we have 5 of you that are willing to do that. I don't want a huge group, obviously, because if we can just get 5 representatives, those people could serve as a conduit, if you will, of concerns if you trust those particular individuals to communicate back and forth with me.
Well, in the past 17 years, to use Mr. Curl's words, we've thrown the baby out with the bathwater 4 or 5 times, and if we don't put something in place now, we don't throw them back out again.
Fix it and leave it alone. Fix it where it works and quit tweaking and messing with it. When you have a problem, if you have a flat tire, you change the tire. You don't throw the whole car in the junkyard. We've had a flat tire in the last 6 months, and now we're buying a new car. So it just don't make any sense.
Yes, sir.
You've had a flat tire for the last 4 or 5 years.
This one up here first.
We need to, excuse me for just a second, we need to come to the microphone because we're recording this and you cannot be heard unless you speak to the microphone. Sorry.
I'm Gene Smith, and I'm just speaking as a citizen, although I do work in this business. I just had a question of, does RCI have a website or any way that we can learn anything about them?
Yes, sir, they do.
Uh,
And that's one of the first places I went to once I heard about them.
And if you go to permanent inspections, would that require a request for quotes and putting this out for bid in order to hire someone to do that job?
No, sir. At this point, will be considered a professional service in order to move forward with it, and we've cleared that legally through our attorney, and he, at this point, is issuing an opinion that would not require an RFP.
Those were just my questions, and I really would find it extremely odd if Oconee County cannot manage to run an inspection in a codes department like virtually every other county does, even a lot of towns and cities, and I just don't quite understand it. But addressing one of these gentlemen's concern, I don't want to make any advertisement, but the Home Builders Association has worked with the codes department in the past, and David Stokes met with us a number of times and spoke to us at our meetings, and so that is a way that available to everybody to have some communication, and it might be a good way for you to work through, and I know you know Tom, so, who's now our president, so that's all I have.
Will there be another vote on how you gonna handle this before it's totally put in place?
Yes, sir. There will be a formal vote this evening, if council chooses to have it this evening, on whether to procure the contract with RCI or to deny it and move forward in another direction. So there will be some direction this evening at our council meeting.
Harold, just state your name real quick.
You just did.
Harold Knight.
Harold Knight.
Harold
everybody.
Knight.
Brad LaCroix with Integrity Builders. Just wondered if you might poll the room and just get a feel, maybe show of hands or standing, as to who would like to see you keep the Building Codes Department versus independent inspections. You want me to do that? All right. All of those that would be in favor of keeping our Building Codes Department, would you stand? That's pretty good. I don't think I'll ask for the votes. Thanks.
What kind of votes in November?
Anybody else would like to make any comments at this time?
I'm the banker that he's referring to. And I've raised half these people, and they've half raised me. So, but anyway, I've been doing mortgage loans, a lot of the construction loans for 20-something years, 24 years. And I do hear the voices from Greenville builders that come over here, and I don't know what Greenville does. But I do know that there's a system in place that we can do here in our county to make it simple. And I get this from all kinds of builders, not only Greenville, Pickens. When they get a request, they won't turn down Lake Kiwi. That nobody does. That's stupid. But the thing about it is when they see Pickens compared to Oconee, they say, "Praise the Lord, Pickens." And I'll sit down.
Your name, sir?
Alan White, South State Bank.
Anybody else would like to comment at this point in time?
Yeah, I do. My question is.
I know most of you think all this is about house building too, but it's not. It's about mobile homes too, because that's part of building codes. You already mentioned the right of ways and all that stuff. The thing that hadn't been mentioned except for by this gentleman here, and that's power. Why is Oconee County involved in power? That's Blue Ridge. Why are y'all controlling power? People put these mobile homes in place, the guys out here building these houses, they gotta get a permit to put a power up out there. Used to be you just went to Blue Ridge and you got your power turned on. Why? Everything else I can understand, but the power, I don't understand that.
Yeah, that one I don't have a definitive answer to, so.
That was my question. My name is Tom Woodrow.
Can I get your name and the contact information?
Can you?
State your name.
My name is Talmadge Letter. Roy's Mobile Home. I'll help them out some.
you're saying that the other counties, you don't have to?
You don't have to in the other counties, just in Oconee County.
So the electrical department will come out and hook power to that mobile home without inspecting the boxes or anything.
No, in the other counties, it is like that. You know to get your power on before the mobile home's there. These house builders, they gotta wait also. They gotta go up here and get a permit to pull it also. Other counties, you don't have to for power. Oconee County, you do.
So the other
Mobile
counties,
homes or houses.
you don't have to have a permit in order to get the power connected to the
The
mobile home.
power, when you go out to Blue Ridge to put in for the power there, they come out, they'll come out, they're gonna schedule you when they're gonna come out and do it. Well, here in Oconee County, if you got a mobile home or anything else like that, you gotta go through a complete inspection to get that power turned on. That means the whole thing has gotta be complete.
Okay.
Other counties, the power's on.
The whole setup inspection and everything has to be complete before they'll authorize the power.
In Oconee County.
Okay.
That was my question, concern. It's aggravating for everybody. BS.
I'm Tucker Harding with Zorn Construction Company out of Seneca. We do commercial work. We're working with the town of, well, we're working with a private owner in the town of Central. And the town of Central, new to my knowledge, recently has a building official, but that person works part-time. So would you consider, I don't need an answer, but could you consider the weeks or months that the staff we have is overloaded? Is there one or two people that you can call by the dollars per hour to go out and handle these inspections so we can keep it in the 24-hour time frame as opposed to subcontracting the whole department out and all that stuff? Just an idea.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Scott, can you address that real quick on some options that we have if we keep and, the overload inside a period to keep those?
Yeah, I can. You allow him to address first and then?
Go ahead.
I'm Charles Dolly with Dolly's Roofing. We pull a lot of permits. We work a good bit in Georgia, and we go all the way to Spartanburg, so it seems like we're almost professional permit pullers. The inspection departments vary. Some of them are accommodating, and other ones are just tyrannical. There is consistency. They all want money. But one thing that, what I see is your leadership is just real important, And what would concern me about having an outside company come in and do it is how are they getting paid? Are they getting paid based on how much money they pull out of us? Because if so, I could see a situation where they may micromanage the builders in order to run up the cost of the permits. Wherein, I don't know, I just think you'd do a lot better if you just hired a good person who had a good servant's heart attitude to help us. I mean, these guys overcome a lot of things. Every day when they get up, they grab their hammers and they're trying to overcome problems. The last thing that you want is to have to overcome the government as well. So just pick somebody with a good servant's heart and a hard work ethic, and somebody that people can call and have a relationship with. And I think you'll be a whole lot better off than subbing it out to somebody from an out-of-town place.
Thank you.
Okay. Regarding options, I will address, he had a question about how they would be paid. I'd like to answer that one too. The proposal at this point is to pay them a percentage of permit fees. That way the amount they get paid isn't directly impacted by the number of inspections they do, number of failures, number of passes. It's purely based on the market activity that we receive in permit activity. So if we get 20 permits in one month, they get paid based on our revenue on those 20 permits. If we get 150,000 permits in 1 month, then they get paid, have a better month because they get a percentage of that permit revenue. So we try to design a payment method that could not be impacted by their ability to manage the job site to increase their revenue. So it's basically specific to percent of revenue based off of the permit activity. And that's kind of how it was proposed to be structured. As far as options, I mean, there's a number of different options out there. Number one, to start at the very top, a full third-party contract is an option to where we have no contract and hire additional people and manage everything in-house. There's options to where you only keep the 2 people you have right now, and then you use a standard. We request 2 people a week from the private contractor. There's as Mr. Harding had mentioned, an option to hire the people and then use a third party just as overflow assistance. Hey, we've got a big week next week. Can you send me a guy for a couple of days just to handle overflow? So, I mean, there's a number of different options out there, and I guess that's the benefit of having this meeting and then not making a permanent formal decision right off the bat, is because you can play with it a little while. And I do want to, a number of you have, I do want to thank RCI and Mr. Blackwell, Mr. Collins for stepping up on such short notice and assisting us during the time we had. They are here today. I did not ask them to stand up or introduce them, not because I don't like them, but I just didn't know if they wanted to jump out in front of the firing squad right away. I'm glad to hear a number of you know them, and at least Mr. Collins' name has been presented and have good things to say, so I didn't have a problem with at least letting you know they are up front up here. I guess they felt safe. But I do want to thank them for being willing to step up and come in here today in case there were any questions that we couldn't answer that were about their company themselves. But so I mean, just to wrap up on your question, there's a number of different options, and what we need to do is council obviously would take all this into consideration and make what we feel is the best for the operation we've got. No matter what decision is made, we obviously have some work to do regardless, based on a number of the comments, and I appreciate that. The only thing I will ask too, as Mr. Kane said, over the last 2 weeks, if some of you had concerns, I didn't hear any from anybody. I work for them, and it's my job to address these particular type of concerns. If you don't feel comfortable calling council and want to call me, that's fine. If you don't feel comfortable calling me, continue calling the council, that's fine. But I'd like to be able to hear some of the concerns as well, which is why I reached out to a few of the builders myself just to see what the impact could possibly be on them. So don't hesitate to call me. But obviously, no matter what decision council makes tonight, hearing some of the concerns here, that not all of them I've heard before, we've got some work to do regardless. Ms. Cammy?
Any final comments? One last comment. Okay, 2 last comments. Ladies first.
My name is Margaret Head, and I'm with Mid-South Trust Company, and actually in Royston, Georgia, but I live in Oconee County, lived here all my life, pay taxes to this county, and love this county, love this council. My problem is that I've been supplying roof and floor products to most of the builders in here over the last 35, 37 years. And I've constantly seen it get worse and worse and worse, because when these inspections are delayed in the process that they've been delayed before, I can't ship my product. And I have manufactured $20,000, $30,000 worth of product that has to sit on my yard because they can't get an inspection so I can ship, because I'm not going to ship stuff over there and cloud up their job site when they don't have room for it. And yet I can't get paid for it because I'm not shipping it. So everything snowballs from not just the builder, but also for those suppliers that can't follow through and please our builders, which is our most important thing, is to please our builders who please their homeowners. So if we can't do that, then we've failed on our job. And it all still falls back in your lap as a council to do what's necessary for these guys to do their job, do it well. And I tell you, I work with builders from Atlanta all the way to Charlotte, North Carolina, and there is no set of builders that can come up close to the ones we have in Oconee County. They are phenomenal.
Have to go back and listen. All right, last comment.
I'm Dennis Roach. I own DWR Plumbing and a taxpayer of Oconee County. What I'd like to know is, since everything works so good in Pickens, and I've dealt with Pickens in Anderson County, why can't y'all get with the counties over there and see how they do their permitting and inspections? Get it run the way they're running it. That would be the simple thing to do, I think. Surely they've got something
that everybody likes, and get the camaraderie back to the people that is doing the jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Brad?
Brad. That's it. Last speaker, Brad.
All right. Thank you, Brad Kisker, Kisker Construction again. I'd like to thank you all again, for getting this many builders together. We can't even do this at a Home Builder Association meeting when we're giving free beer and hot dogs away, so.
When's the next meeting?
I'm sorry, we'll get a date out. But, no, I appreciate you all listening. I think you know our concerns. And again, we fought long and hard. I mean, we've gone to technology and permitting, and we fought long and hard to get the inspectors to make phone calls to us when they're coming so we can be there. And then them with their iPads sending us reports so we know, so we can schedule. I think you've heard that time in our business is money. And if I don't know if I passed the inspection, I can't schedule tomorrow. I'm in a holding pattern until I go home. I start at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and if I got to go home and check my computer at 6 o'clock at night to see if I passed an inspection, I'm tired by then. So I think you've all heard that we need to try, fix, Band-Aid this thing, take a deep breath. Let's keep get some good people in place. Let's not farm this out. Let's not lose control. We've got some good things in place, and we've got some bad procedures in place. I think if we clean up the procedures, we can make this a great building department. Thank you.
Mr. Kisker, hang on just 1 second. Ms. Kamek, may I ask him one quick question?
Sure.
Yes. With regard to the lack of notification on whether you passed or failed or any communication coming from the inspector themselves, it's my understanding that the technology, as you refer to, was supposed to immediately send you a notification when those pass or fail. When did that stop?
As soon as Mr. Stokes was fired.
Okay. Just to respond, one of those reasons is in the interim when we brought the RCI in to help us alleviate some of the gap, they didn't have access right away to that software and that technology. It is intended that if for some reason we did move forward with a third party, that they would be required to utilize that so that we could still continue to send that notification. If it was working before, I don't even know if it was working for you before Mr. Stokes was separated from the county, but it sounds like it was until that point.
It was working. It was also giving us the option to be there for an inspection. They would call us, hey, I'm leaving this job, I'm coming to your job, I'll be there in 30 minutes. And that would give us the option, I want to be there for a rough inspection and I want to be there for a final inspection. I don't need to be there for a slab inspection. So it gave me the option of, hey, yeah, I'm close by, I'll go over and check the slab with him. But we can we can answer questions when we're there on site. If we're not getting phone calls, we can't afford to sit out there 8 hours waiting for a building inspector. We don't know if he's got to come at 8 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We've got things to do, obviously. So if we know they're coming, hey, we can be there, and as David Gully pointed out, hey, we can fire caulk that, we can do this. Why is this like that? I understand. There's some interpretations and things, we can get those. And that's going to save us time, it's going to save a reinspection scheduling, them coming back out again, gas, fuel, another inspection. So us being on site is a cost-saving thing in my mind.
And most all that changed when Mr. Stokes was separated. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't had that many inspections since I've only had one inspection, and it was today. And I'm not sure if I passed or failed yet. So.
Okay. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
just out of fairness to our point taken.
Yeah. So, and again, appreciate y'all listening, and hopefully, again, with the number of people here and the feedback, and this is nothing against outside inspectors and what have you, but I think you've seen the relationship between the builders. We're competitors, but we're friends, and we're all in this together. The county's in this with us. We're in with the builders, the subcontractors, us building homes, us building commercial properties, increasing the tax base, increasing business, increasing people in Oconee County. And again, I don't think we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We just got to fix the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. On that note, I would like to thank you all for coming tonight, and this meeting is officially adjourned. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.